Aledo, appreciate your time. Thank you for joining us here on Ghana Tonight.
Good evening, and good evening to your listeners, and thank you for having me this evening.
I mean, let's first establish how far-reaching will this decision by Hajj Azura to be in mending the cracks within the party some 88 days to election day, December 7, in this Walewale constituency, that constituency of the Vice President?
Okay, thank you very much once again. I think this is a welcome news for the party in the constituency. But to me, it came a little too late. However, it depends on how the party will organize themselves quickly and then mobilize the support base, particularly the youth, going forward.
I see. Now, if you say it came too late, what would the implication of this be, especially because of the time period between now and an election day, or between now and Friday, for that matter?
Why will she wait till now? She decided that she's withdrawn from the race. Of course, she had a concern, and she felt she was cheated, and the issue was sent to High Court. And the decision was made that, okay, go back and then fill the delegates. So at the last minute, she's withdrawing. Fine. But the question then is, withdrawing this, from the race in itself is not the solution. How will the party leadership in the constituency can safely mobilize the support base and cement the differences? Mind you, the NPP candidate has political clout than Kabiru, I must say. But Kabiru has the incumbent power. Anything can happen. But I found the NDC candidate is at an advantage than the NPP as it stands now. So it depends on the party problem. Hajia will have to, I see this as a conditional withdrawal. It is not from, well, I don't think it's coming from, it's a conditional withdrawal. That's how I see it. But of course, she should be able to use that and bring the support base of head of Hajia team. Otherwise, I don't think they will still go to this election with divided front. It's a little too late because just 8 days to election, an issue that has dragged over a period spanning almost 4 or 5 months, and still lingering, then only last minute for you to withdraw. I think it's a serious case. I think the party will have to prevail in the constituency, particularly the Vice President, who is also candidate on the ticket of NPP. He use his power and they have to quickly bring the people around him and then convince them for a forward march. Of course, voting is all about numbers. You cannot go to the election with divided front. So, like I said earlier, NPP in constitution in Walewale should be fronting Bawumia campaign nationally. But if the backyard of the candidate is in flames, then it's a true case. Of course, the matter has come to an end today. So let's see how the things will unfold going forward from tomorrow onwards.
Indeed. And quick one before you go. To the extent that now we have Dr. Kabiru Mahama, who is the only person left in this, would it be, from the political scientist perspective, prudent for the party to just go with him or bring in a neutral candidate to contest?
That was my position. So, before candidates, they have taken an unfair position. And I'm so the Vice President tried to convince one of them to withdraw, but they resisted. But it's okay, well, this is democracy. Go and test your popularity. But at the very last minute, the incumbent has withdrawn. That is where the problem is. So I call it a conditional withdrawal. But like I said earlier, the NDC candidate has a political clout over Kabiru. Of course, he's in power. Maybe he can use his power to quickly galvanize, people to rally behind them and then forget about the past. The common cause is that let's win and win for the NPP. Otherwise, if that language is not resonating with the people, I'm sorry, NDC may still have an edge over Kabiru as it stands now.
Well, we'll see how things play out. Thank you, Dr. Bensolo Aledo Bukari, a political science lecturer at the University for Development Studies, UDS. He's been studying the dynamics of the Walewale constituency. He knows the constituency quite closely. But that point about whether the party will take a decision to present Dr. Kabiru Mahama as the party's candidate or consider a neutral person because of the entrenched positions that both Dr. Kabiru Mahama supporters and also Ajazueratu supporters took, which indeed we saw the extent of cracks within the party that degenerated into some skirmishes. And let's put it on the screen right now. Those skirmishes that we saw yesterday during the voting process that led to the Ghana Police Service having to come in to take the ballot boxes, and some ballot boxes were reportedly snatched. Some persons who interrupted the process of the sorting as well in that constituency, the Walewale constituency. This gentleman who was arrested by the Ghana Police Service there, and those who, if the situation got a bit worrying. Now, that is the extent of the cracks that we're talking about, and this is what has been happening in the NPP, specifically the Walewale by-election. That's the rerun of the primaries, in that constituency yesterday. Now, if a decision is going to be taken to have Dr. Kabiru Mahama go, we make reference to what happened on the 27th of January this year. Dr. Kabiru won that disputed primary by some 345 of the valid vote cast, right? But then again, this was what the court took a decision on and quashed this result. So this result does not hold. But to the extent that this statement by Hajia Zueratu Lariba, the incumbent MP, she said was in the interest of the unity of the party in that constituency, how will that trickle down to her supporters as well? How are they going to receive this? What's the strategy of the party? We'll wait to hear what happens next. Is it's that's a neutral candidate or somebody who has not been contesting either than Dr. Kabiru or Hajia be the right choice for the party in the vice president, the flag bearers constituency? Those are the issues at play. And guess what? This is not a constituency that the NPP can go to bed and say, regardless of all of these troubles, we can win this constituency. The history does not support that position by the party. They have quite some work to do. If you look at this, at least for the parliamentary, the NDC has won this constituency before a number of times, as a matter of fact. Won it in 2004, won it in 2008. The PNC has won this constituency before in the year 2000. And that leads me into the year 2012. In fact, if you look at 2004 and 2008, the NPP candidate who won this constituency was one person who has roots in the PNC as well. And the PNC candidate who won the year 2000, this Walewale constituency, was one that eventually joined the NPP in the year 2008 after Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia was named as the running mate to Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. So the PNC has some strong roots in there. The NDC candidate, Alhaji Abdallah Abukari, for the 2024 election, has had stints with this constituency since 2008. In fact, the first time he contested this constituency, the Walewale constituency, he was a PNC candidate in that constituency. And I'm going to show you that in a bit. This is it. This is what we do know about this man. The NDC candidate for that constituency, Abdallah Abukari, contested Walewale constituency in the 2008 and 2012 elections on the ticket of the PNC. He crossed carpet to join the NDC in February 2013. He says after extensive consultation with his supporters, eventually was appointed the Northern Regional Minister in February 2016. He served in that capacity for some 9-10 months before elections. He contested that election on the ticket of the NDC in 2016. Then he was elected again as the parliamentary candidate for the NDC in the 2020 elections. He contested as the NDC candidate in the Walewale constituency in the 2020 elections. He is the same person the NDC is going into this 2024 election with. So from 2008 all the way to this moment, Abdallah Abubakar, the NDC candidate, is one person who knows this constituency very well. And that's another headache the NPP would have to deal with. If you look at the election trends, for him, In the year 2008, when he contested this constituency as a PNC candidate, he got some over 7,000 votes. That increased in the year 2012 with over 10,000 votes, still on the PNC ticket. Now, guess what? In 2016, when he switched carpet to the NDC, his votes increased by 23,851. In 2020, Alhaji Abdallah Abubakar inched up to over 30,000 of the valid vote cast in the Walewale constituency. That's the man that the NDC is going into the fight in this constituency, the home constituency of the vice president, the Walewale constituency with. And there was just about 2,000 difference between him and Haji Azuera in the 2020 election. So he knows his stuff. We'll see how things play out for the NPP.